expansion of his internet business. So I see no issue with it. He's providing a good service. It's a private business. If he's eligible for federal grants and if he's willing to expand, that's just helping the economic development of our area and helping our tourists and citizens.
That's a Connecting Michigan Communities grant, for one. For two, at the close of this business day, that grant went out without this. Did you read this? Did you read this? Let me just read one sentence of this. Letter of support, and it's not to Governor Whitmer, that's the start. But here's one sentence that is completely, I don't know what you're saying here, but it's wrong. All right, the communities in Montmorency County, Michigan, where high-speed internet is very limited needs, high-speed due to the fact of the influx of citizens, both permanent and visitors. So you're saying we have very limited needs when many of the people in this county cannot do it? That is why Mr. Cadwell is going for this grant?
Is it your motion to?
However, there's no motion on this because I just told you, I talked to Carl very early Tuesday morning. And at the close of this business day, which is typically 5 o'clock, he went without Briley. Because if you actually read that, you can't add that to a grant the way it is. And so he submitted without Briley. And he asked you quite some time ago for a letter, and this is not acceptable. And so he did it without Briley. And if you want to read it and you think that's acceptable, it's not. That's not acceptable. And hey, that's not personal to anyone.
Can I ask a question?
You have a motion, yeah, please.
Are you saying he already had this?
No.
No.
Okay.
He is submitting his grant at 5 today
Okay.
without this because this draft
Okay.
is counterproductive.
Okay.
Well, I thought he was purposely not using it because of the typos. I'm sorry.
Well,
I think we can.
quite frankly, I wouldn't show that to him.
I think we can fix the typos. I have.
Well, he submitted the grant. You hear me?
I understand.
It's
but
gone.
please.
It's sent.
Okay.
It's over. We can move on.
Well, we can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that because it's late, we can't tell them we supported it. It might not do any good, but it wouldn't do any harm to tell them we supported it.
I suggest we fix the errors. Well, at least, I mean, this is my discussion. Fix the errors on it. I'll look at it really closely. I'm sorry. And submit it to him. He might be able to submit it as a supplemental, and they accept those. It depends what status his grant application is in. You can just submit it. They can either accept it as a supplemental or not.
But at least he'll know that we support him.
Correct.
The grant has already been sent. We do it by email these days. It's gone. It's
I'm
over.
not seeing it dinged in here where it was anywhere.
Well, anyway, this is copied almost verbatim from the letter that Tristan Cole sent to the governor. So what happened is all we changed here in terms of this letter is that it wasn't from Tristan Cole, it was instead from us. But that's neither here nor there.
When was Barger Creek's request made for this letter?
After the last meeting.
No.
And that's part of the reason that we called this meeting. That's an important part of why we called this meeting.
Well, some of the reasons why some of these things are getting omitted is because the meetings have been a little tenacious and things that aren't prepared in front of us did get slipped through the cracks. So
I don't know that I
we're
could actually go along with that because it's the first time I've seen this on an agenda. I mean,
No,
by
I
that
agree.
statement, it would have been on the last agenda and we never made it to it.
Well, right. And see, the ship has sailed. No, you may not have. I talked to Carl
don't see a date
extensively.
on here where it says
Tuesday
when
morning.
it was,
Why
when
is
the
it still a
grant
point of
was-
discussion?
I don't see
Understood.
a date anywhere where
I
it said it
understand. I
wasn't.
think we should continue with what we're doing here. I don't know if any of that is accurate, so let's finish with the motion and
Okay, I
vote
made
on
the
it.
motion that we
This is
that we
nothing
send
like
the letter,
Tristan Cole
and,
wrote either.
and you seconded it.
Yes. And so, if we have no more discussion, let's just vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Absolutely not, the ship
Okay.
sailed.
4-1 motion passed.
See, time frame.
Okay, per diems. Okay, I believe our discussion started somewhere in December. Nancy,
I gave you verbatim what the states, what the MTA said about that.
yep. And we've had going back and forth, and I have to admit that Nancy was correct. Thank you. And, but there's more to it. When the state and some of the stuff says trustees must be paid for board meetings outside of this board meeting, that anybody else gets paid, for example, planning commissioners get paid. I don't care if it's $2,000 a meeting, then a board member that sits on the planning commission must be paid the $2,000 also, because those are not statutory duties. That being said, we have a board member that sits on the fire board, we have a board member that sits on the airport board, one that sits on the ambulance board, and they attend those meetings. Past practice has been sketchy at best. I think I got 2 checks over the last 9 years for attending board meetings. So my knowledge of it was not very good at all. So I was challenging the fact that we had to pay anybody at all, because I wasn't paid, or sometimes I was, and I asked why, and I got all sorts of different questions from the board. So Nancy has brought it to our attention that she was on the airport board and has not been getting paid. Even I got varying responses from different things, and I looked up a billion different places, and there is a bunch of documents out there that could make an argument either way. But this time, when I got into it more extensively, I cornered people, and actually they had arguments within their own organization because the documentation out there is so conflicting. For example, the Treasury says that clerk, treasurer, and supervisor cannot be paid for meetings. But then it references the act, and if you go to the act, they omitted a few words within that sentence that says they cannot be paid for these board meetings. But outside board meetings, those are extra added duties, and they're required to be paid if the other ones are paid. And that is the sum of all of my communication with MTA, which I thank Nancy for bringing it up, but she is correct. We do owe her and quite a few people back pay for board meetings.
Okay. Now, I had this documented a long time ago. However, I ask you to do this. Since each year, we have to develop and are on that fiscal year budget, I ask for this information in writing. May you go back more than one fiscal year? We need to know that. And, hey, it's been a long time. It was last October. But still, can we lawfully go back more than one fiscal year? Because we're on an entirely new budget. And all these things are to be budgeted for in that budget. So, I want to see in writing that anybody can be paid retro pay for more than one fiscal year, because it's a
Gotcha.
whole new
Good argument.
budget.
Good argument.
Not arguing, I just asked for that to be addressed, and I want to see it in writing. Thank you, and I did.
I didn't mean arguing
No,
combatively.
no, I just need to see
Good
how
statement.
far back that you can lawfully
Mr.
do
Kirk, are
these
you gonna
things.
respond?
Oh, how am I gonna respond?
We need another
Can I
fact.
respond?
Yes, absolutely.
Nancy, would you make a motion to table that until we have the answer to your question?
Yes, I will. I would move that we table per diems until we know if we can pay people farther back than one fiscal year.
I'll support you.
Thank you.
Okay. We're not spending any money. Any discussion on that motion and support? You got that written down?
Yeah, I got it. I'm ready.
Motion to table this.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mhm.
until we find out
The
how
legal,
far we can go retroactively.
right, legally, she said.
Yep,
Okay.
I got it.
There should
All those
be
in
some-
favor?
There should,
Aye.
one more thing,
Aye.
excuse me, I'm in favor of that. However, there's there's another item there I thought of, that there's maybe some sort of statute of limitations on how far you can go back too.
Those
So
opposed?
two things.
All right,
So
motion
that
passed.
passed.
Did it pass 5-0 though? Or-
Yes,
5-0.
5-0. Yes. Now, how are we gonna find out? Can somebody make a motion?
Well, we can send it to legal, or we can,
Well,
we can, I don't know, what else we
we
can
can
do.
check with the MTA and ask them, is there a statute of limitations on that? Can we go back farther than one fiscal year? If they don't know, then they can just direct us to the Michigan code number, the code law, so that we can review it to see if we even need, if we can't figure it out ourselves, then maybe. But we should be able, with MTA's help, and let's get this in writing so we can show people.
Who made the motion? Was
I-
it you?
Nancy.
Nancy, okay.
Second, Rick.
Rick
Rick,
supported
okay,
it.
good, thank
Okay,
you.
so that's what we need to know, and I'd like us to try to find out for ourselves. If the MTA can't tell us, then they can direct us, and we'll see if we can't read the law ourselves. If it's too complex for us, then, or we, I also asked other townships if they've had similar experiences. Maybe they've already got the law.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that the clerk's office look into this to the point where they are satisfied and bring it, that they have a sound answer that is supported legally in any
writing.
way, shape, or form, just like your ballot language. Do
Clerk's
it
office.
cheaply,
In writing.
in writing, and present it back to the board for our review so that we can move forward on it with
I'll
some
support that.
legal.
Yep.
I did not get into that, I found out what I did, and as far as how far back it goes, I don't know
Right.
for sure.
But
And I
there'll be some,
appreciate that.
hopefully some sort of rule
But
about
that's
that.
my motion, and Rick supported.
Well, and that's
It-
just that you find the rest of the law,
Yep,
and I thought we already passed it.
so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Passed, you mean?
All right,
Passed 4-1, by the way.
all right.
No,
Okay,
I wanna find out the law and I want it in writing, so.
just for the record, Mr.
thought we were
Palmer
already 5-0
voted
on it.
no, since he was the one who had to do it. Okay,
All right,
that was not an easy one. Okay, light officer.
I move that we advertise for a new blight officer for 2 weeks in the Tribune, and we state in the advertisement that people need to bring a letter of interest into the office with what their salary, what salary they want. And we will advertise on what will be the first 2 weeks in September. And so it would be, what would be the, see, it won't be the 28th, it'll be, I guess we could have them in by September. Nobody has a calendar, do they?
Down the bottom.
First 2 weeks of September,
and
before next meeting.
is anybody seconding that motion, cause I don't wanna talk about
Guys.
this.
I really wanna talk about this, but I'm not supporting that motion.
It'd be on the 4th and 11th, so if we tell them to have it in by the 19th, that gives them a week after the last ad.
I can't second that either, but we really need to talk about this. This is not.
You can't have a discussion without a motion.
Well, a second to the motion, a motion
Did
and a
you
second.
finish, did you get a date on your motion?
Yeah, it's, it'll be on the 4th and the 11th, so the motion is that they have to have their letter of interest and stuff in by September 20th.
Okay, it was, I'm sorry, I got letter of interest and salary requirements.
Qualifications?
Qualifications. Yeah, I mean, I would put that, you're paying for, I don't know how you're paying for it by the line, but at least guide people to give us the information that, so that we can compare.
Yep.
What are you gonna give them for a salary comparison? So that they know they're at least in the realm of reality.
Don did that as zoning administrator and blight officer, it's always
I
been
better
confined
second it
here.
so they can discuss
But
it.
I've got other
Okay.
issues with this
All right, we got a
scenario.
motion in a second, now we can
Okay.
discuss
Okay,
it.
let's do it. Go ahead.
Okay, so, natural progression, promote from within. I think you might as well look at Jay, who's been doing this job for 2.5 months, and say he is not good enough.
Seconded that.
There is absolutely no reason that this needs to be published for 2 weeks. There's absolutely no reason we need anybody different. Jay has the experience, he shadowed with Don Edwards, and after he took and he resigned from it, Jay has a handle on everything that's going on right now. A new person coming in will not. Jay has served this township, he's never had a problem serving this township, and I really like the way he does business around here, so I'd rather see promote from within and give it to somebody who's already qualified to do it.
All right, my turn. All right, now, we have somebody in this room that is willing to do that job, and he is capable of doing that job, all right? And he was asked to do this job.
Before
That
it
would
was
be
published to the public.
Rick, how did you get here? Did we publish your trustee? Did we publish a clerk? Did we publish any planning commissioners?
Totally
We do not.
understand.
It has never been a practice. One time I got this board to put it in the paper for 2 weeks for one position. That's since I've sat at this table. But now, and Jay had told me at one time he did not want to do that. And Mr. Dave Guest was asked if he would like to do this job. Now I know Mr. Guest is, to be honest, and fair. And he is here and he would do that too. Don't just on you. You know, I'm not trying to demean Jay here in any way, but Mr. Guest was also asked to do this. Now,
But Jay's already been appointed as the
Okay.
assistant blight officer by this board.
One at a time.
Well-
One at a time, please.
hey, look at,
I'm sorry, since you named Mr. Guest, I have to ask you, Mr. Guest, were you ever asked to be what is it, blight officer by anybody
It was suggested to me,
on this board?
yes,
Oh, I wasn't aware of it.
yes, it was. That's where I got my idea.
that's
Okay.
that. And it wasn't me that suggested it to Mr. Guest, but it was suggested to him, and he's good enough to be here. So all of a sudden, we're automatically gonna keep Jay, when I talked to Don to see if he even knew about this, that we were going to split his job. He said he was. He said at that time, Jay didn't want this job. And so I talked to
Jay, is
Dave.
that true?
No, it's not. It's a lie.
Well,
Jay, you
I'm
came
just
in
telling you
here
what I'm
said,
told, and I
don't
was
wanna
speaking.
do
Bruno,
this."
that's a lie.
You were in
You're
here.
lying.
Oh,
Now stop.
no.
I told you I was
Oh,
not
no.
sure that I wanted to do the job until I rode with Don and figured it out. And your exact words to me were, you better
Think
take
about
this
it.
position, you
Think
should
about
take
it.
this position.
Right, think about it, that's what I told you.
So that is a lie.
But why did I ask you to think about it?
Well, now look at people. We need to find a way to be fair to people. Now, I have no idea who wanted Dave Guest to be here, all right? And want him to take this position. But he was approached by someone here. And see, nobody told me that Don would like to leave as our zoning administrator. And Don was wondering why I didn't hear that he would like to be done with the blight now. He would stay on and help anybody learn how to do the zoning permits and so on.
I can answer that because his resignation's never been in front of the board.
Well, but when you tell a board member that you would like to have somebody, and he won't resign until he gets a chance to work with somebody else. Now, but Don thought everyone was told that he was not comfortable, he didn't wanna do that job forever, he'd like to go back to retirement. Someone approached Mr. Guest, and then Jay is now willing to do that job. So how do we be fair to these people when we don't communicate fairly with people?
Publish it out for 2.5 weeks, or 2 weeks, and find out,
That's,
best man will win.
that's what we were hoping for. We may have more people interested. I really don't like the way this shook down, but it did because I honestly did not think Jay wanted the job.
You're currently doing the job right now.
I have been for 2.5 months.
That was the last I heard from Jay.
Well,
I mean, if you're already got the badge and you're already doing the job, I think this is a waste of time.
well,
I'm sorry.
well then, it is completely unfair to approach somebody and then all of a sudden, for this job, because you don't wanna consider Mr. Guest, or whatever the point is.
Not saying that.
Not accusing, and I'm not finished. But how is this ever fair to anyone in this room? How is this ever fair?
How is it fair that Jay's gonna do the job and not benefit from it?
Okay.
Natural progression. Moving forward, nobody steps into something with, I'm gonna stay at the bottom forever. I mean, if that was the case, then why would you even start?
That is not relevant here. It is that we make a mess out of everything. That's what's relevant here. And you approach people, and I don't even know who approached him, but yes, I did talk to Dave about that and ask him if he is really interested in this. And yes, he is. And say, all right, somewhere back there, you was hired as a park attendant, okay? And somewhere is all of a sudden the blight officer.
In June, this board appointed him as the assistant blight officer.
Okay, we have.
And he said at that time he didn't want to do it, so I didn't know he was doing it. All right, because he said he didn't want to. You didn't? Okay.
No, I did not.
All right.
Okay,
I thought you
do
were
have a
uncomfortable with the
motion
job,
and
and I
a
thought that's
second
what
to
you
that.
said. But no, this is just just goofing with people way too much.
I agree, but we do have a motion and a second to advertise on the table.
Kaiser,
No, it's not fair to anyone.
Klein,
Nope, we already have somebody on the payroll.
Supervisor,
Yes.
Clerk, yes. Treasurer,
We're damned if we do and damned if we don't, so yes.
Okay, motion passed.
okay, the last thing I think we
Noxious
have.
weed ordinance.
No, we don't have one.
Okay.
That's
RRCP
actually-
Resolution 7, number
Confusing,
7
it's
of
not fair.
2017. I'm sorry. This is basically just a report. We have all three components now of engaging with the RRC, the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program. We're in line for a evaluation. We have done a self-evaluation, and we're 3 or 4 months out from the MEDC coming in and doing a internal evaluation of our redevelopment ready status. In the meantime, and in your interim, hopefully the board and planning commission will be working on some of the components that will get us into that program. The program will, once again, as it's stated in our 2017 resolution, and the